Hey y'all, welcome back to episode 3. And we're gonna jump right back into the story and let's get going. Let's see what we're doing. You know how things work around here, don't you, Tomboy? Oh yeah, we're back with Curly Wolf. Ugh. Yes. Oh no, we're gonna start out like this. Curly grabbed a handful of your poncho, pulling you forward, stumbling, before roughly shoving you off your feet onto your back. You'd learned how to take a fall by now. You didn't scramble. You just let yourself lay in the dirt for the moment, waiting. Get up. Pressed your hand to the ground and got up. Not too fast, not too slow. The others still got a laugh out of this routine, but you were too bored of it to be embarrassed anymore. If you know how things work, then I shouldn't have to punish you for not doing what you're told. When you come back, you come straight to me with what you found. You don't stand around playing with your little horsey. Yes, boss. Right. Come on then, spit it out. I found the town. Place called Clemency. It's got some gold for mines, but no bank or anything like that. What would you say now if Curly New Sheriff was the only person there who even resembles a lawman and just go barging right in? This lie was crucial. He couldn't catch you out. Place looked armed to the teeth. Even so, all the town folk had some way of defending themselves. No gun laws like other places. Well, shit. Was hoping it'd be a breeze. We need an easy win right now. Don't fuck up, Nick. I found out from the sheriff that the place is gonna be empty soon. You were focused on a hill in the distance, not daring to look directly at him. Still, on the edge of your vision, you could see Curly's eyes narrowed, staring at your face, studying it. How come? Overheard that they retrieve supplies from the town every so often. The next caravan drive is in 3 days. Whole town gonna be going. It'll be empty and unguarded. The suspicion in Curly's eyes melted into a smugness, and a grin split his face from ear to ear. Hot damn, now that's an easy win. He turned his face away from you, shouting into the air of the camp. Boys, 3 days from now, we're gonna be rich. It worked. It worked. It worked. It worked. He walked away around the camp, kept talking, hyping it up, riling everyone up for what was to come. You didn't need to listen anymore. Your job was done for now. You went back to being invisible, staying out of the way, the usual. I'm so excited. That night, the hills were full of the sound howling, cheering, drunken songs as the Curly Wolf game prematurely celebrated their victory. This was a bigger deal than you had maybe anticipated. In any case, your goal was the same, and they didn't know what was coming. Curly Wolf didn't know what was coming. He was the cockiest you'd ever seen him. The days after were a blur. If you weren't needed to help with some menial work somewhere in the camp, you were just sleeping in your tent, trying to avoid the blazing heat, keeping out of everyone's way, like you always did. Waiting, just like everyone else, for the day you'd ride out. Oh, I'm so scared. Okay. On the night before you were due to leave, you snuck out of your tent, out to where no one would see you. Away from the camp, the sounds of it echoing lightly through the air, you clambered halfway down a hill and sat. You didn't do this often. Who knew when someone might come to your tent, needing to drag you away for something? You couldn't risk it often, being unfindable, but you thought it important enough to do tonight. To come out here and breathe in the cool night air, to stare into the sky across the horizon at the blanket of stars in the sky. Trying to pinpoint constellations you were told about when you were much younger. You wondered if Joseph knew any. You didn't think about it at the time. The feather was in your pocket still, the safest place you could think to keep it. At night, when the lights were out and the tent was filled with the sound of someone snoring, you'd hold it in your hand, flicking through it with the claw of your thumb, feeling the smoothness against your fingers just for a bit before you put it back. It helped you get to sleep. Again now, while you were alone and sitting under the stars, you pulled it out of your pocket, fiddling with it in your hand, feeling it tickle the pads of your palm. Your mind wanted to wander, to think about important things, to think about all the ways tomorrow could go wrong, to think about what might happen to you both. You didn't let it. The feather helped too. For once, you just let yourself be calm. You'll see him tomorrow. Until then, worrying would do you no good. You imagine that was the kind of thing he'd say to you if he was here, sitting next to you. The imagined weight of his head on your shoulder, the thought of his warmth sidled up next to you. All the things you wouldn't feel again if you lost him. Oh, you'll see him tomorrow. We got this. Let's do it. It's the morning. You're awake early. You didn't sleep much anyway, as much as you tried to. The sun was bright as always, coming through the yellowed fabric of the tent. You laid awake, waiting for others to get up, waiting for Curly Wolf. He'd start rallying guys together for the ride to Clemency soon enough. You needed to make sure you were there. The minutes ticked by, and you heard more people get up, the camp coming to life once more with the sounds of work and talk. You got up and got yourself ready, sitting on your bedroll after and waiting more. Then, the voice of Curly Wolf. All right, boys, gather round. We're headed to the town of Clemency this morning. I need 10 or so men with me to haul valuables. It's around a half a day's ride from here. Who's coming to get our gold? You heard all this as you were leaving your tent, making your way to the small crowd of canines. Instantly, there were people joining, eager to prove themselves to get their hands on real gold. 1, 2, 3 already. You subtly push your way through the crowd, trying to reach the front. Pushed out to the edge of the crowd by the huddling bodies, you found yourself standing in front of Curly. He stared at you even as he clapped the hands and shoulders of other guys walking past, joining the excitable group. What you standing there for, tomboy? We don't need any little pups to help shift the goods. You needed to be on this crew. You couldn't talk back to him, though. You didn't know what to say. What could you say? You just kept standing there. You think you're going to be of any help with this scrawny stick? He grabbed your arm, raising it up and down, shaking it by the wrist. Every inch of you was screaming to snatch your arm from his hand, but you knew what would happen if you did. He threw your arm back at you, making you stumble a little. Go make yourself useful someplace else. I only need real men for this trip. You had to say something. You had to be there. You'll need a lookout. He was looking at the assembled group, doing a quick head count. All right, boys, that's 10. Be ready to move out in 5 minutes. He didn't seem to hear you. Your words were quiet, whispered. You tried again. You'll need a lookout, Curly. His ears twitched. He still didn't turn to face you. I heard you the first time. Stop yapping at me about bullshit. We don't know when the town folks will be back. It'll be bad if they come back while you're there, and even worse if there's no one keeping an eye out. Y'all have your hands full already. You heard him sigh, and a little growl rose in his throat before it subsided into nothing. Fine then, tomboy. If you're that eager to come, I suppose I'll have to let you. You're riding in the wagon. You don't need a horse. No, you didn't get that privilege when other people needed them, you supposed. The wagon was fine by you. You knew it was punishment of kinds that you'd be riding in it on the way back, too, along with everything else. Boxes and sacks and supplies and whatnot, all bumping about, hoping none of them fell over and hit you. Cramped space with nowhere to sit or lie, just standing for hours, waiting for it to stop. Get a move on. You followed after Curly to get ready. Of course, what Curly didn't know was that you weren't going to be coming back here. Neither of you were. Let's go kill him! We got this, Nick. From where you sat, slumped in the corner of the wagon, the wind whistled through the gaps in the canvas next to your head. The edges flap, the wind ruffling your clothes and your fur, drying up your nose as you sit with your knees up. The wagon rocks and bumps as it drags by, horse through the desert, and its corner is the only place you feel safe enough to stay. You could at least keep yourself steady, even as it tried to knock you about, clinging onto the wooden frame. Looking toward the entrance of the wagon, where the covering split down the middle, you couldn't see much. Or rather, what you could see were great clouds of dust, billowing out from the wheels and into the dry air. As uncomfortable as the wagon was, at least it provided you shelter from the sun, unlike riding on horseback. The winds coursing past your ears were welcome too, cooling your head that was swimming with thoughts. You knew you were close to Clemency now. The entourage had been traveling long enough. As you got closer and closer, the minutes stretched on. You felt sick to your stomach. Less so butterflies, more like hornets. This was going to be it. This was what you've been waiting for. Not just for days, but years, really. A chance like this. All the anxieties and concerns you'd pushed down last night were rushing back like geysers. What if Joseph wasn't there? What if his gang wasn't there? What if you reached Clemency and Curly realizes you were lying? What if you couldn't kill them both? Or they demolished the town and sheriff came back to find nothing left? To find you broken your promise. What if you were killed, quickly or slowly? You'd seen Curly kill traitors before. The simple fear of dying took hold of your heart. The chill of the Reaper's shadow. No, this wasn't gonna be it. This isn't all there was gonna be. You'd see him again soon. You'd do what you had to, together. This wasn't gonna be it. There would be more after. It was hard for you to imagine, but you knew it had to be true. There would be days after today. You wanted to see them. And if you die, at least it was for a reason. You sure as hell weren't gonna go out without a fight. This was a risk you'd always be willing to take. You and Joseph would take it together, and you were gonna see it through. You steeled your resolve, locking the furnace of your heart so that no one may put it out. The rumble of the wagon started to slow. The rocking back and forth became gentler and gentler until everything came to a stop with a small lurch. The constant motion that had been in your body was gone all of a sudden. Everything seemed impossibly still. Like when the many conversations in a bar all died down suddenly, leaving it quiet in a strange moment. You heard the thud of Curly jumping off the horse and crawled the floor of the wagon to the front. Curly came and opened the low wooden door, letting you slide out the wagon and jump out. The light of the late morning sun was blinding, and you held your arm over your brow to shelter your eyes. As your eyes adjusted, the bright desert became clearer. Hazy rock formations in the distance became familiar. Walking around the wagon, you saw the shapes of buildings that set your teeth on edge. The town of Clemency. Here we are, boys. What a shithole. No one here, at least. We'll take what we're here for and leave Shapish. Won't know what hit him. Ain't that right, tomboy? He slapped you hard on the back. There was an anticipation in the air amongst yourselves. This was the place they'd been waiting for. You'd been waiting for it too, but the anticipation was not one of eagerness. Even in your brief visit here, many things had happened. In some way, being back in Clemency was comforting. Despite that, you couldn't ignore the chill in your veins at the prospect of what'll come next. There was no backing out now. It felt like those few times in the past when the fuse on a stick of dynamite had been lit and you were still holding it. There was only going to be a few moments more until the spark reached the end of the wick. I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. Okay. Oh, look at the gang. Curly started walking into the town, and you followed suit with everyone else, staying close behind him. Clemency was dead quiet, not a soul in sight, just like Sheriff said it'd be. He studied the town as you walked down the main street, peering through windows, drawing up plans in his head. Every building you walked past filled you with a little more fear. You were still waiting for something to happen, for anyone else to appear. Soon enough, Curly would want to get started for real and ask you where the gold was supposed to be. Then at the end of the street, you saw what you were waiting for. Who you were waiting for. A hazy group of guys making their way up on the main street from the other side of the town. As they got closer, it became clearer. The figure of a tall and slender bird with many others in tow straggling behind him, much like you behind Curly. Where's Joseph? Where's Joseph? Curly stopped as he spotted the group too, staring him down. Where's Joseph? Show me Joseph. Show me my boyfriend. Now, who the hell is that in my town? He started walking again with purpose and menace, and they quickened their pace and turned towards you. You felt your heart beating in your chest now, reaching up to your throat, blood rushing, adrenaline starting to build in you. They were really here, and you could see Curly wasn't happy about it. Both sides slowed as they came closer to each other, coming to a stop halfway down the street, a few dozen paces between them. Not too close, not too far. You saw Black Vulture much more clearly now, and he was looking with intrigue at Curly. You looked past him, though, desperately searching the small crowd of people following in his wake, until you saw the one you'd been waiting for. Joseph, stony face and stern, blending in with his compatriots. It was almost funny to compare to the laid-back and jovial man you got to know. After a few moments longer staring each other down, Black Vulture spoke. Well, well, is that who I think it is? The infamous Curly Wolf? What's it to you, and what are you doing in my town? Well, I'd imagine we're both here for much the same reason. I've heard tales of your exploits. Can't say the same. Who are you? I'm Black Vulture, gentleman outlaw of the... Doesn't ring a bell. Curly Wolf says, shut the fuck up. The feathers of Black's neck clearly ruffled at Curly's rebuttal, but he waved it off. More fool of you, I say. You here for the gold, then? Yeah, And how strange that we might run into each other like this. I'm willing to bet you're not a sharing man. Like I said, this is Curly Wolf property now, so best you go on and fly away. No, I don't think we will, Curly. I think it would be a shame for so much gold to be wasted on scum like you. Should keep that highfalutin beak of yours shut unless you want a barrel of a gun inside it. Let us see then, Curly Wolf. To the victor goes the spoils, and I intend to spill that tiny brain of yours across the dirt. Fine by me. Don't need much of brain to shoot you. This wasn't how you wanted things to go. You and Joseph were still in the thick of it, facing each other. You thought you'd be out of the fight. The air was still. Hands came to hover over guns, every pair of eyes trained on the opposing side, waiting. In a standoff like this, it was a test of the boss's mettle, their mental fortitude. How long would anyone last before pulling the trigger? Trying to psych each other out, being the first to take the shot wasn't always the best call, but having to react to that first shot could be worse. It was a test of loyalty too, for everyone following them. Your underlings couldn't step out of line or take the shot themselves. To break rank early would be betrayal, but when bullets went flying, it was unpredictable. Staying meant a risk to yourself. You knew Curly was a good shot. He had the upper hand here, but you were reminded of something Joseph told you. Black Vulture wasn't the shootiest. He had someone else for that. He could brag, but he wasn't the real one. You thought about whether Curly should know. Shit. I'm not gonna say anything? What do you mean? Why would I help him? Keep quiet. Don't tell him. No, it was better if Curly didn't know about the shootist. As dangerous as it was to leave someone like that hanging around during a fight, it was a more danger to him. Plus, if I tell him that they have someone over there, then later he'd be like, "Oh, how'd you know? How did you know that he doesn't have a good shot? How'd you know he was gonna have someone on his team shoot for him?" I can't do that. No. The seconds dragged on. It felt as though your very breath may tip the scales, chest heavy from breathing the air of people who wanted to kill you. There was safety in numbers in the crowd. Even so, you found yourself for the first time thinking about running. Never before had you considered it. This time was different, of course. There wasn't going to be a next time. Running would tip the scales for sure, but you couldn't know in whose favor. Play it safe with the gang, or run and let all hell break loose. Shit. We have to stay. If I run, they're gonna know. Plus, like, what if he doesn't die and I run and then he catches me? The fuck? I have to stay. I have full trust. I have full trust that Joseph will protect me if need be. We're gonna stay. We're not gonna run. We're done running. We already talked about that. We're done running. We're gonna stay. No, if you ran, you might make yourself a target. Better to stick with the gang till they scatter. Curly spoke in a low voice, cast to those behind him. Watch and learn, boys. He flexed the wrist of his hand, holding it out before clutching his gun in his holster. You saw Black Vulture react in turn, reaching for his gun. Curly liked to play with his food, to show off. He waited for the moment Black grabbed his gun, the same, then quickly and expertly pulled it free, pointing it dead straight. He knew he'd always be quicker on the draw. The shot rang out, a bang that made your heart jump, and you saw Black Vulture double over, clutching his side. The smoke was barely rising from the barrel of Curly's gun when another shot rang out. Full on ego and admiring his handiwork, he hadn't noticed one small bird hanging on the edge of the crowd that raised his rifle. Curly's face instantly twisted into a full-toothed cry of pain. Eyes clenched shut, staggering back a step as he clutched the side of his chest. Fuck! A moment passed before the crowd behind you dispersed, everyone running to take cover as the fight broke out. On the other side, you saw the same, the clump of figures scattering like ashes to either side of the street. You couldn't see where Joseph went, and you couldn't afford to hang around as more shots were fired. Curly was struggling to move, and he turned to see you still standing there, alone. A bullet whizzed by, striking the ground. He gave you a look and slumped over on you, one arm slung over your shoulder, much of his weight bearing down on you now. You had no choice but to help carrying him out of the street, knees shaking as you walked as quickly as you could. Oh, shit. Your compatriots fired a volley of rounds down the street, providing you enough cover to drag your bleeding boss between two buildings. He was heavy on your neck and wobbling as you walked together, his stride still outpacing you as you tried to keep up and push him along. You kept walking through the long clump of houses that lined the main street, pushing through the other side where it gave way to a hill. At a corner that led out of the shade, he rested against the wall, lightening the load off of you as he craned his neck to check if the way was safe. Again, without a word, he re-slumped onto you, and you walked around the corner together. Curly used the houses as support too now, bloodied hand dragging across the walls as he used you to drag him ever forward. Gunshots continued to ring out, bouncing through the alleys and streets next to you. The acrid smell of gunpowder grew stronger, even as your nose was full of the scent of Curly's sweet, latent fur. You stumbled along this back path a little more before Curly's weight on you suddenly became crushing, like gravity itself had become stronger. The full weight of Curly lay on you for a moment before your knees buckled and he slid off with a grunt. He threw out a hand, trying to catch himself, scraping it on the wall of the house as he fell, coming to sit on the dirt. He sat with his back flat against the slated wooden wall, one hand reaching across to grasp his side so hard you could see the tendons. The other hand clutched his gun, finger resting next to the trigger. He breathed slowly and heavily through gritted teeth, staring out over the edge into the rest of the town, across roofs into the desert. His ears twitched with the pop of guns around you, seeming to come from every direction. This was the best chance you were going to get, you thought. He was so vulnerable looking. Some part of your mind, though, said you couldn't. You can't kill him. Something'll go wrong. He's a hurt and cornered animal right now. Staring real hard at me there, tomboy. Worried I'm going to croak on you? Don't. I'm not going anywhere. You could feel the weight of your gun in your holster as you shifted onto your feet, the space where your hand needed to be to grab it. Curly fidgeted about like it was impossible for him to get comfortable where he was before giving up and sitting crooked. We'll hide out here for the time being. The boys will take care of things. You're not much good in a fight, but you're better protection than nothing. Some of Black Vulture's lot might come this way, so keep your eyes peeled. You gently unholster your gun, letting it dangle on your fingers by the handle. You didn't want to stick around. You didn't know how the fight was going. You didn't know if Joseph was all right. You were just wasting time standing there with this bastard bleeding on the ground next to you. Just shoot him. That's all you had to do. Just shoot him and be done with it. You've killed people before. He deserves it more than the most. And still, you can't bring yourself to do anything. Your ears pricked up. You hear the sound of someone running this way, thudding fast against the dirt, and look up. You swing your gun up hastily, ready for whoever's coming your way. You don't see anything for a few more moments until a bird comes running out, looking around frantically. Panting, holding his shotgun in both hands as he looked your way and his eyes land on you. They light up like the brightest fireworks. Ah, shit, there's one. No! The glint of Curly's gun shone in the corner of your eye as he moved arm across his body, pointing upward. Shoot, Curly! Shoot, Curly! Joseph's eyes widened, pupils becoming pinpricks, trying to turn tail and run as Curly saw Curly take aim. It was all so quick it felt like an eternity as you lifted your gun, aiming directly at Curly's hand as it steadied itself. Before doubt and fear could take a hold, you squeezed the trigger and saw his hand explode. The sound of the shot rattled through your head. Joseph staggered and stopped as it went off. Curly snatched his hand away. His gun dropped to the ground with a dull thud, and he buried the hand into himself, crying out and growling. What? Oh, God. Fuck. What? He looked bewilderedly at Joseph, failing to understand what had blasted the fingers off his hand before looking to his side. At you. Looking at the wisp of smoke from the barrel of your gun. You felt yourself panting heavily, hands shaking. In fact, your whole body was shaking with adrenaline. You heard the thump of footsteps again and looked up to see Joseph run over, slowing as he neared you and Curly. Hell yeah! Let's do this. The two met eyes, anger and disgust spilling into Curly's face in equal amounts, while Joseph's became pitiful, you thought. So this is him, huh? Great Curly Wolf. Joseph came down from your eye level, crouching to Curly, studying his face. Ha! All makes a little more sense now. Found yourself a little buddy, did you? He won't stick around. I can see it in his eyes. Such a trap, Curly. Anger flittered across Curly's brow, but he wasn't stupid. He knew he wasn't getting out of this situation. He was as good as dead. You really are two peas in a pod. Traitors and cowards who just run from everything. His breasts were haggard, throat hoarse and harsh, holding on out of spite more than anything else. Whatever he told you, promised you, tomboy, it's not real. I know people like that when I see it. When things get tough, he'll leave. He'll run. Like all the other times. Or will you run first? You might say that's not so, but I know you're a liar. Always have been. Should have known you'd betray me sooner or later. Saw it in your eyes all those times. Never liked you. Do you even know his name? Joseph regarded Curly coolly, but his anger wasn't concealed by his sharp spite in his voice or the clench of his jaw. Doesn't matter. What's the name anyhow? If I call someone and they come, that's their name. Answer the question. Do you know his name? Curly squinted up at Joseph, the sun shining in his face. You and Joseph's shadows cast up on the wall beside him. No, of course I don't. What? The deafening blast of Joseph's shotgun cut him short, and you flinched away, averting your eyes from the peppered red mess of his chest. You followed the momentum of your flinch, turning around, gazing out across the hill and down into the town, breathing in and out. You heard one last breath of sorts behind you, a gurgle of blood from the mouth, and the rustle of clothes as he fell limp. Wrong answer. Fuck yeah, Joseph! Nick? You gingerly reached a hand behind Adam, tugging at his shirt when you found Purchase pulling yourself in. Babies! His arms caught you as you took a weak step toward him, returning his embrace as he held you close, your heads over each other's shoulders. There was a pit in your stomach, making you nauseous. You closed your eyes as you breathed in, focusing on his smell, so close to you. Are you alright? Are you hurt? I'm fine. I'm fine. I love them. You pulled away from each other as you heard more gunshots, the fight starting up again. No doubt caused by Joseph's shotgun. We need to get somewhere safe. Wait for this to blow over. Once they realize Curly's dead, the guys will probably hightail out of here. Where's Black Vulture? Not sure. Lost him when the fight broke out. I was more concerned about finding you, really. Holstering your gun, you stooped down and pick up Curly's revolver from where it fallen. You grabbed Joseph's hand and placed it on your shoulder to pull him with you, walking briskly, keeping on the way you'd been going already. We can skirt round the edge of town and make our way to the saloon. Safest place I can think of. Joseph nodded and followed you, trailing by his arm, your gun held firm and ready in your hand, cautious of every alley you passed. You've got this, boys. You kept following the edge of the hill, heading for where the street bent, sheriff's office being across the way. You were aiming to loop around the back of the office and avoid the firefight in the street, but as it came into view, a tall figure started to pass by. He didn't notice you at first, but the sound of you both stopping short caught his attention, and you met the eyes of Black Vulture. Well, well, what do we have here? Taking a prisoner, Joseph? You could see the blood staining his coat, his shirt, on the side of his stomach where he pressed a hand, but he seemed surprisingly unfazed. Following Black from behind the building came the bird you recognized as Deschutes, the one who shot Curly. He stood behind Black, rifle firm in both hands, a mask covering his face, small eyes watching keenly. The grip of Joseph's hand on your shoulder grew tighter, and he pulled you toward him a little, continuing to walk you forward slowly. Yeah, thought he might be useful. Should have some knowledge about Curly Wolf's hideouts and whatnot. Black grunted, hunched over, but now standing taller, his crooked neck raising his head above you. Always so quick on your feet, Joseph. It's good thinking. I'm just curious as to why you're not holding him at gunpoint. He took a few steps closer to you both. Or indeed, why I had to take a bullet for your actions. My actions? You ran, you slimy traitorous coward. You ran with your tail between your legs, and now I'm bleeding from the stomach. Your palms were sweating, your head down, face away from Black and his shootist, hiding the gun in your hand. It was a bad time to be caught in the act. You thought about whether this was your chance to kill Black, but he was so close to you both with his own gun drawn still. And you knew now how hard it would be for Joseph to try to kill him, the fear dripping inside his chest. We shouldn't stick around. Curly's guys might find you. You dared to look behind you, look at where they were standing, but you saw in Black's eyes you'd made a mistake. The glint of a gun in your hand, hidden and now revealed as you twisted your body ever slightly too much. Shit! No! Shot! One of us is gonna get shot! Oh no, 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 no. Joseph must have seen the connection too. The spark of realization in Black's eyes. He swung his arm suddenly toward Black, bashing him upside the head with his shotgun and knocking him to the ground with a grunt. No! Joseph! The shootist, even while watching closely, was caught off guard, and though he readied his rifle quickly, you'd already been looking at him. You aimed the revolver at his head and fired. A shot clean through him. His mask flew off, twisting in the air. As the shootist fell, his dying trigger finger squeezed enough to let loose a final shot from the tilted rifle. If I don't click next, no one gets shot, right? Oh no. You heard the telltale wet thud of a bullet hitting someone, and Joseph cried out for a moment, hand snapping to clutch his thigh. Damn little son of a gun still got me. Black was already starting to stir from being knocked down, and you pushed your head under one of Joseph's arms. Come on, we need to go, now. Joseph held his arm around your shoulders, using your help to take some sort of the weight off, but still limping as fast as he could with the pain. You abandoned your plan to go around town and ran down the nearest alley toward the main street and toward the fight. You couldn't afford to get caught out by someone again, Black or otherwise. Joseph was too hurt. You just had to get to the saloon. As you reached the street, everything had lulled once again, the air deadly quiet all of a sudden. You poked your heads out, but wherever people were hiding, it wasn't anywhere near you. The saloon was just across the street. You looked to Joseph, his face so close to yours, and he nodded. You pushed off together, running and walking as fast as you could get across without being seen. Halfway across the wide street, the saloon porch so close, you looked behind you, only to see Black coming to a halt as your eyes met. Wiping blood off his face from his cracked beak, he aimed his gun at you both from the alley entrance. Shit. We know he's a bad shot, but is he bad enough to miss that? Your heart skips a beat and you crash to the ground, pulling Joseph with you, hoping you might dodge the bullet. Shot rings out, but it didn't come from behind you. And in fact, you quickly look toward Black to see him ducking down. His hat was knocked off by the unknown shot, and he grabbed it before scuttling back, hiding further in the alley. The shot spooked the hiding gang members too, as a couple shots were fired back, and then many more adding to the cacophony. You picked Joseph and yourself up off the dusty ground, seeing down the street that many were shooting up at some attackers on the roofs. You took off running in a crouch with your hand balled into a fist around your gun as the back of Joseph closed, dragging him with you. Both stumbling up the stairs of the saloon porch, you flung open the doors and helped Joseph inside with haste. There was a loud crack as the wooden door frame was struck and splintered near your head. We made it. We made it. We made it. As you turn and slam the door shut, you see Black pulling away from aiming at you, now having to reload. With the door shut, your eyes adjusted to the dimly lit interior. The sun's not quite shining in the same as last you were here. I didn't read that right, sorry. Joseph stood with his injured leg slightly off the floor, leaning on a table with one hand. You go over to him and unholster your gun, handing it to him by the barrel, handle pointing upward. You take it. You need something better than that shotgun. I have it for a reason, Nick. I'm a real terrible shot, more likely to hit you than who I'm aiming at. Then take it for good luck. I've had it for a long time, and it's always done me well. He gave you a hesitant look still. You both knew time was of essence, but he didn't want to put you in danger. You trusted him. You knew this wasn't dangerous. Two revolvers isn't much good to me. Just take it and hide. Black's still coming after us. Joseph took the pistol from you and slid his shotgun across the floor to the end of the bar, limping over to hide behind it. You ducked down yourself and scuttled over to the nearest window, listening to the shootout happening outside. You needed to know where Black Vulture was. You pulled up and peeked over the windowsill. As soon as you pulled your head far enough up, your eyes landed on the distant figure of Black, rifle aimed directly at you. You immediately snapped away from the window and pressed yourself against the wall, holding still as the one louder shot echoed in the street. The window next to your head broke with a shrill twang, panes falling on the sill and shattering inside each other. Shattering either side, the floor covered in glass. You felt a sharp pain pierce your ears and reached up for a moment to feel the tip missing. Your fingers slick with blood as you brought him down. No! The side of your face started to feel wet. You could feel your fur matting and sticking to itself inside your ear. He'd known where you were. He'd almost got you. But you knew where he was now, and he'd probably try to move and throw you off. You reared your head up along with your gun, spotting Black sneaking away from where he was as you tried to avoid rake bullets. He saw you as you took aim through the window, but you weren't going to falter and let him get the jump on you again. You followed his movement with your hand, watching where he was going, and squeezed the trigger just ahead of him. The gunshot echoed through the saloon, and a single moment later, Black fell with a small spray of blood, kicking up dust as his legs splayed out. You stood up a little, still crouched, peering more clearly over through the window to get a better look at him on the ground. He didn't seem to be breathing. You kept watching for any sign of life, any movements, but even as bullets from the fight hit the dirt and wood beside him, he didn't seem to stir. You gingerly kicked the broken glass under you aside, taking a deep breath. It can't be that easy. It's not going to be that easy. You slunk down and sat with your back to the wall, ears down, not wanting to attract any of the shooters still outside. The wary-headed Joseph poked out from the end of the bar, looking at you, his eyes flickering around the window. I got him. He's dead. Black's dead. We should just lie low here for a bit. Joseph nodded, shuffling out from behind the bar a bit more. Made a bit of a mess of the saloon. Hope Bart won't be too mad about it. You hope so too. You guess Sheriff must have told people about what was happening, but you weren't sure. You'd help fix it up if you could. You sat there, waiting, listening, still as the fight outside died down. You could hear some distant shouts, sounds of people running, the wind howling through the open window, the crunch of glass. Your ears flicked toward the noise as a feathered hand shot through the window, grasping at your face. The arm grabbed under your chin and pulled you, jerked you up. Breath became caught and strained as you were half choked to the window. You dropped your gun and desperately pulled at the arm, claws digging into the skin of Black's wings as you tried to break free. Another arm threw itself in as he got to his knees, pressing your head against the wooden windowsill and tilting your head back. You could see his face close in your peripheral, and his other hand now came up to your throat. Something sharp and cold rested against your skin. The shard of glass glinted in the sun, and refractions danced around the dim saloon. Your claws hurt from scratching feathers out of his arm. You didn't want to die. You heard your head forced back, neck thrust forward exposed, looking at the nothing of the ceiling above you. This is gonna hurt you more than it's hurt me. The words brushed past your ear. You felt the arm move. The glass started pricking to your skin. A loud bang went off, reverberating around the room and vibrating deep in your body for a moment. You fell to the floor. You crashed into the shattering glass beneath you, twisting to look up at the window, running your hand along your throat with subsiding panic. The arms that had been around you went limp, hanging through the window along with Black's long neck, his face motionless and frozen. The bloody shard of glass in his hand fell to the floor with a tink. The blood from his head started to drip next to it. You looked over at Joseph and saw him sitting lopsided on the floor, your revolver in his hand, still pointing toward the window. He was looking past you at Black, breathing heavily, and then looked in your eyes, his head not moving an inch, just the flick of his stare. He blinked after what seemed like an eternity, and you felt the roughness of breath in your throat, a hoarse cough ever so often. You pushed your hand against the floor and sat up, Joseph putting the gun down carefully beside him. I think we got him for real then. He gave a small nervous chuckle, and as did he. More gunshots started up outside, only less than before. You got on your knees, holstering the gun you dropped, and crawled carefully over the broken glass across the floor to Joseph. He took a gentle hold of your shorter arm, a warm squeeze. We might be in danger here still if someone sees us, especially with Big Old Beak there being a window ornament. Yeah, we could go to the storeroom for now, I suppose. He looked over the bar at the door to the store, the gentle curve of thinking on his brow before meeting your eyes again. The saloon has rooms, don't it? Think that's what Bart said? Yeah, must be upstairs. Should we go? Up would be a darn lot safer and comfier than down here. You thought about it for a moment. Your only worry was whether you might get blood on something for when Bartholomew came back. Though, considering the state of the saloon already, you thought, what the hell, you'll deal with it later. Yeah, let's. You stood up and held Joseph with his stiff, though still, to get up to. With his stiff thigh still to get up to. You walked briskly together past the window, out of sight. You took your time getting up the stairs, taking it slow for Joseph, who was huffing and breathing through gritted teeth as he made his way up. You stumbled along the landing, one arm around each other. towards the furthest room. And they were roommates. Twisting the handle, you opened the door with some haste, shuffling inside together. You turned and closed the door as quietly as you could, still bumping against the frame, the handle creaking as it turned beneath your head. You waited there, facing the door, giving yourself a moment, breathing slowly, feeling the metal in your palm, gripping it tightly. With the door closed, the peppering of gunshots from outside was much softer. You could imagine them as raindrops against the window. Nice room. You let go and turned to look around the room. You agreed. It was nice. It was bright, the sunlight skimming in through the window, curtains open, fading onto the pillows, a clean bed, a side table, a dresser. You wandered over to the bed, reaching out to touch, but thinking better of it when feeling the blood sticking between your fingers. A large rug laid on the floor next to the bed, so instead you lowered yourself down to sit on it, leaning back to rest against the bed. You rested your head against it too, at least feeling the softness of the sheets brushing against your fur, meeting the curve of your neck. Joseph still stood where he was, looking into the middle distance. After a few moments, his glassy stare turned down to you, coming back to life. What do we do now? We wait. Wait for the fight to die out. Once they realize who's died, they should leave. Hopefully we won't be looked for. Right. He shuffled over to the bed and leaned down, groaning as he hit the rug, sitting against the bed as you did now. Sit here and hope for the best. As good a plan as we've had so far. His hurt leg stretched out against the floor as he massaged the muscle gently, bringing the other closer out of the way. Leg's killing me, huh? Well, not really. Thank God. The bleeding looked like it had stopped, thankfully, but it still needed tending to before it got worse. Your ears flickered as you turned your head, and you felt the still air stinging against the exposed tip of your ear. You reached up for a moment, feeling it, fingers running past the matted, sticky fur. The bleeding had already stopped there, too. You can get patched up when all the townfolk come back, I hope. Yeah, I'll be fine. Don't you worry. You tried not to worry, settling yourself down, trying to rest. You stared at the wall of the bedroom, unsure what to think, unsure how to feel, tracing the grain of the wood with your eyes. You wondered if the numbness you felt made you a monster, some strange lacking that left you sitting there, bereft of feeling. How were you supposed to feel when Curly's been sitting behind a house, limp body baking in the sun? How were you supposed to feel with Black draped over a window, lifelessly hanging in the shade of the porch? You couldn't shake the feeling of the glass pressed against your neck, through your fur, cold against your skin. Like it was still there, like if you moved in a second, you'd find yourself gasping on the ground, drowning, grasping at your throat. You were brought back from your thoughts as your ears drew your eyes away from the wall, down to your side. Down to where Joseph's hand fidgeted, tapping against the floor. The softness of patters against the rug, an unheard rhythm from within him. His breathing caught your eye too, the noticeable rise and fall of his chest, the long exhales through his nose. Your eyes continue up to his sullen face, the feathers of his head subtly shaking, nerves bubbling to the surface. You looked back down to his hand and found yourself reaching across, reaching out to take hold. Joseph jolted as you touched him, his hand almost reflexively jerking out of yours, and came back to the world. He looked down. He relaxed his arm when he saw, squeezing you a little and letting you steal his hand away into your lap. It was trembling as you stroked your thumb over the feathers, squeezing his hand back firmly. Your hands moved around each other, grappling and dancing, exploring each other's fingers and palms. A distraction of each other's fur and feathers, just the two of you. Joseph's arms being pulled away from him started to make him lean, his body subtly shifting inch by inch closer to you. He started to tilt, and his head tilted too, laying on your shoulder with a comforting heft of weight. Ah! You laid your head on his, feathers ends tickling you through your fur. He untwisted his arm into a comfier position, keeping it near. You took a hold again, holding the back of his hand, digging your fingers in between his, intertwining. Now you are both still. Only the small movements getting comfortable to disturb you, hands fidgeting together. We're alive, huh? Did we really do that? Nah, there's no way. When we rolled up on Clemency and I saw y'all, I thought we had no shot. How did we make it out alive? There was an incredulity to his voice. I don't know, that's not the word at the time. That weighed on your heart. He was right. You nearly died. Nearly, but you didn't. You were still alive. You were still here with him. I don't think I care about the how or the why. We're still alive and they aren't. All that matters to me is that I'm sitting here with you, that I can feel how warm you are. Joseph sat up at that, his head no longer on your shoulder as he turned to look at you, looking into your eyes. You found your hand let go of his, reaching up, waiting to feel him, feel his warmth, the way his stomach moved as he breathed. His heart still beating strong inside him, like it was reaching out to you, quickening as you let your hand lay on his chest. You felt your own heartbeat thrumming louder now, like you had just minutes ago. Not out of fear this time, not that kind. As you reached up past his shoulder, he closed his eyes as your hand rubbed gently up his neck, feathers fluffing, stroking up till you cupped his face. The feathers of his face were soft, intermingled with the dust and dirt, the specks of dried blood that you felt beneath your hand. He opened his eyes again, those big honey gold and brown rings that started to flick around your feathers, studying you. Looking at you in a way you don't think you've ever been before. He cleared his throat a little, dry and unsure of his words, but wanting to say them all the same. You know, I don't. Did I ever tell you how handsome you are? You couldn't help your little snort as you laughed, turning your face away, giggling over the nervous trip of his words. No, no, I don't think you did. Ah, come on, Nick. Looking back at him, it felt like your faces were closer. Your laughter subsided. Cheeks starting to warm at the sweetness of his words trickled into your thoughts like honey. You found yourself leaning in, slowly, slowly, as did he, your eyes glancing at each other's mouths. The stretch of tension in your back as your head pushed forward had your hand. Wait. The stretch of tension in your back as your head pushed forward had your hand buried in the softness of his feathers, pulling him closer. Eyes meeting once more, just a moment before. Yay! Oh my gosh! I love them! Yay! Your faces met. You pressed your lips to the end of his beak, his hot breath on your lips, in your mouth, as yours was in his. You held the kiss there, holding your lips to his, unsure if this was what you were supposed to do. You'd never kissed anyone like this before. You hadn't met anyone like Joseph before either. You just want to be close to him like this. Your heart was beating hard in your chest, your cheeks flushed and hot. You heard what sounded like sweeping, realizing it was your tail wagging across the floor. Oh my god! Ah, his tail. That's so cute. Oh my god. Okay, I love them. A few more seconds passed before the kiss was broken, your hand falling from his face to hold onto his arm. Babies! Oh my gosh. You looked at each other with quivering breaths. You could feel the strong rhythm of his heartbeat in your hand. A big, gracious smile spread across Joseph's face. You matched it with more sheepish one, embarrassed still despite everything. Guessing you never kissed someone with a beak before. No. No, I haven't. Or anyone without one, for that matter. Well, if that really was your first time, I got nothing to complain about. I'd just say it was a very mammal kiss. Oh, really now? Do educate me. You have a lot of lip to it. Birds can't do that so well, you see? So we tend to kiss a little differently. Your face was warmed even more, your ears burning as he leaned in closer, talking softly. Let me show you. One hand came close to rest on your leg as he leaned forward, his beak passed flush with your snout. You closed your eyes as he came closer, the whispers of his breath warm on your face as the tip of his beak gently poked at your cheek. He preened and rubbed his beak through your fur, almost nibbling at you, feeling soft scrapes against your skin. Joseph's affection continued against your cheek, the feathers of his face close to your nose, smelling of sweat and tobacco. He nuzzled through the fur of your face a few moments more before rubbing his beak all along your snout as he dipped his head back. Oh, you open your eyes again, bemused by Joseph's new kiss, to gaze upon his bashful face. From the blush of his cheeks and the unusual shyness he was trying to shrug off, you felt as if you'd been entrusted a secret. What do you make of that? I think I liked mine better, but I could get used to those too. He slipped an arm around your back, holding you closer as your heart fluttered at the thought of the familiar kisses. I would be happy to oblige. His face beamed with a warm smile, and he leaned forward to rest his head atop yours. You reached your hand across him and grabbed his other hand, pulling it into his lap, keeping you all close like a bundle of sticks. Letting your mind focus on him, feeling his hand squeeze your side firmly, squeezing his other hand back. Listening to his breathing, to the small shuffles of his clothes, to the faint beat of his heart in his chest. Your ear flicked around a little as you heard something else. Some subtle noise you wanted to ignore, focusing on the warmth of Joseph. Don't ignore it. The fight on the street seemed to be over. No longer could you hear the muffled shots, the pops or bangs or cracks that split in the air. What you could hear now, though, was rhythmic thuds, distant and soft, but growing louder by the second. It was footsteps. First at the stairs, but now coming along the landing, coming closer. You sat up sharply, knocking Joseph in the chin a little as you heard one of the doors open and then close. Whoever it was checking the rooms. Joseph sat up as he took note of the noises as well, realizing the same as you. Someone was looking for you. At least someone was looking for stragglers. Your hand snapped to your gun and pulled it from the holster, aiming it square at the door. You heard more doors open and close. Whoever it was would be here in just a few seconds. The footsteps grew that little bit louder, and you found something familiar within them. There were 4 footsteps, 2 people, but there was another offbeat thump there. Out of pace, a 5th footstep. Okay. I hate this. I'm hitting the hour mark, which is what I'm trying to keep these videos at. So, I'm gonna stop here. We're gonna stop here. And, I will record the next episode right. I don't even know if I can. I might record it right now. I don't have work for a little bit longer. I love how this is going. I'm so scared. I don't know if they're familiar because there's no way that fucking the wolf is back. There's no way that the bird is back. There's no way that the bosses are back. I don't think. So they're either familiar because they're townspeople, or they're familiar because maybe they could be people from the gang. I mean, obviously, if the bosses are shot, then someone from the gang is gonna step up, right? And to prove themselves as the new boss, they would have to kill the traitors, right? So it's either gonna be someone from the gang, or it's gonna be the townspeople. And I really hope it's the sheriff. I hope it's Bartholomew. But I feel like this game, I think I'm only 3 hours in, and it's a 6-hour playtime. So I don't think it can go that easy. I don't think it's gonna be that easy. Shit. Okay. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this 3rd episode. I am loving this game so far, and we're halfway through. Halfway. We're at 3 hours, I believe. So, whew, okay, we got our little kids. We got our little love story. All right. And then I hope y'all stay with me till the next episode so we can see how this is going to end. And I hope y'all have a good day.